What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how wide receivers can expose DBs with their route running. So we're going to be looking at 4 different route running examples. First example is going to be a slant route versus inside shade press. We're going to be showing a bad example and then a good example of the route and how wide receivers need to be thinking that it's not what the DB does right, it's what the wide receiver does wrong that makes the DB look good. Then we're going to be taking a look at some different kind of route situations where you maybe will take an inside release on an outside breaking route, and then we're going to break down some film from one of our YouTube subscribers who sent in their highlight tape, and it was a really great post corner route. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it helps you get some more separation. But also, fellas, we are traveling out to 4 more states across the U.S. for 2-day long QB and wide receiver camps. So next camp is going to be in Dallas, Texas. Then we're coming out to Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and then Los Angeles, California. So if you guys want 2 days of work with us, 8 hours total, check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get started. So first clip here is going to be, again, inside shade guy, and we have to run a slant. So if he's inside shade and I need to run a slant route, what is something that I want to do? Where is a place on this DB that I want to attack? And that would be his outside shoulder. So the goal would be to get him to flip his hips, open up the gate, if you will, and then slip back underneath and run this slant route. Now, what a lot of wide receivers do is they'll do something called a diamond release. So this is a bad example of the diamond release. Let's play this thing again, full speed. So this receiver comes off, takes those 3 steps, but again, DB is all over it and is able to lock it up. As a wide receiver, we should never have that excuse of, oh, the DB just played it well. You know, sometimes, yes, the DB's in the right spot at the right time. Maybe it's just not the right route for that specific coverage. Fine. But if I got a situation where I know I can win and I don't win, that should be on us. We didn't do our job. Offensive-minded people think like that. And I assume as receivers, quarterbacks, whatever, we're all offensive-minded guys. What did I do wrong that made the DB look good? So when he came off the line here, he gave this little like stutter move, and then he took the 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. Now, those 3 steps were extremely choppy steps. So we all know on this route, it's a slant route, inside shade, we're trying to attack the outside shoulder and self-fade. Right? We were trying to make the DB think that we were just taking off and running a speed release vertical. But nobody runs a fade. Nobody runs a deep post, a outside release fade, where you're just taking this ball 40 yards downfield with choppy steps, right? This DB is trying to read our body language, and he is also reading our speed. If we don't run fast, he is not going to react. That's just plain and simple how it is. You don't need to be the fastest player on the field either to get separation like this. You see plenty of bigger tight ends do this. You see plenty of bigger outside wide receivers get separation like this. They're taking simply full strides and actually running hard. But when you guys take choppy steps, it's just an indicator. We're not gaining any ground with these choppy steps. Those 3 quick steps, they might be quick, but that DB will not feel threatened by that and will not open up the gate, and he has an easy recovery on this specific play. Now, another thing that he maybe could have done a little bit better is there's a gap between the 2 of them, right? So maybe instead of just going outside right now and leaving some space, maybe we should attack him a little bit, get into his cushion, then work back outside. But at the end of the day, fellas, if we don't sell it and we don't actually run, that DB is not going to bite on it and not going to believe it. So let's play this thing again, full speed, then we'll take a look at a good example of this route against the exact same type of coverage. So now, obviously, same type of situation. Inside shade, we have to run a slant. So when this guy's 2 to 3 off, what this wide receiver does a great job is closing the space, but he's going to attack those 3 hard steps to the outside, attacking this DB's outside shoulder. So the main thing about these 3 steps, what was the DB looking at? He was trying to read my body language, but he was also trying to read my speed. So if I start slowing down, if I start chopping my steps, that is an indicator on the route. This wide receiver does not do that. So let's take a look at the difference. So he comes off, 1, 2, 3. You see how he's actually running hard, and there is a not too much of a gap between the 2 players on this clip. That is the key, fellas. Anytime that you're running a route, it has to be in full stride. Anytime that you guys shorten your stride, anytime that you guys chop your feet right before a break point, you are letting a DB know that a change of direction is coming. So to be that elite route runner, to expose a DB on a route like this, to create separation, you have to make sure that we are running in full stride. So when he comes off the line, now again, this is a lot easier said than done, right? Because I know a lot of people try to run in full stride, but they just can't make that change of direction. They'll take these 3 full steps, they'll stride long, but on that 3rd step, they maybe lack ankle stability, knee stability, leg strength, or just the mechanics on the cut to change that direction. And that's completely fine. And that's why it's so important to train those aspects of your game. In the gym, working like a lot of one-legged exercises. On the field, working a lot of cutting exercises where you're running in full stride. But also emphasizing mechanics of the cut. Because what a lot of people will do is when they try to sell a route like this is that their third step, they'll reach out for the break. They try to step super far. Like rather than just cutting right in stride and cutting inside of your frame like this, they will reach out and exaggerate. Because when they reach out, what do they end up doing? They drag their back foot. So when you reach and you drag the back foot, all that does is just slow you down and you lose energy. So we have to be very comfortable cutting in stride, but also cutting inside the frame, absorbing force of my legs, being in a good pad level position so I can make that tight change of direction. So fellas, make sure anytime that you were trying to sell a route, anytime we're trying to make a DB thing fade, inside move, double move, I have to be in full stride. So let's play this thing again, full speed one more time, then we'll talk about a great route from Emmanuel Sanders, then we'll break down one of our subscribers' film. So now, this right here, this clip, this is going to be a deep out route with an inside stem. So main thing I want to talk about here is that at the top of the route, not so much like a diamond release, on any route, fellas, what are we trying to sell? Trying to sell vertical, trying to sell fade, trying to get the DB to flip his hips to the 9. But when we have to slip back under a DB, maybe I can't restack. So many wide receivers struggle with actually getting low into their breaks. To make that quick change of direction and get that DB to shoot by, to expose that guy at the top of the route, you have to get low. So let's play this thing full speed. So Emmanuel Sanders does a great job taking this inside release, dropping on a dime, getting out, making this tight change of direction. So let's talk about this. So he took an inside release on an outside breaking route. So there's a couple different ways wide receivers can play this. At least what I teach my wide receivers is if that DB is like outside shade, head up, and you have to take that inside release, your main mindset should be to restack him. Obviously, that's always what we want to do. We want to restack, want to get this DB behind me on his hip, so I could either give like a 1-2 at the top, give a head fake inside, get him to bite, and then I got space to the outside. But what if he plays it well? What if he is right on my hip pocket and I maybe can't restack? You have to have some kind of plan to react off of that. And that's what Sanders does right here. So he comes to the break and he snaps down and works this like slip under method. You could do a throw by right here where your right hand goes on his right hip or the back of his shoulder and you just kind of swat him by and slip under. But the key on this, where so many wide receivers will mess up, is they don't get low enough. They'll have this DB in this position, they'll drop their hips, but because they don't get low enough, they'll drift upfield. They'll drift back into this DB. To get this DB to move, or to get him to fall off the platform, if you will, to expose the guy, break his ankles, you have to slip back underneath, but it has to be a tight angle. So when the Sanders drops into this thing, I want you to see, what does he do? He changes levels. You see how his butt drops down? He's actually changing levels. He's stepping hard. He's not beating the drum, chattering his feet. There is a level change. He is actually dropping his hips. When you guys can drop into a break and drop your butt down, most importantly, that will help you make a tighter cut. So many wide receivers, they'll do one of two things. They'll either hinge at their waist and they'll lean forward. That's what causes the drift. Or they just simply step hard with their feet, but there's no level change with their butt. They're not dropping their hips. And that's what also causes a drift into a defender. So to expose that defender, expose that DB, you have to make sharp cuts. And those sharp cuts come from a quick, sudden hip drop, but also you being able to get low enough to make that tight change of direction. The whole point of getting low at the top of the route is to get out of the break tight. If we can't get out of the break tight, there is no point. So when he drops down like this, getting low, getting in that explosive spot, we make that tight cut, and obviously you see the result with this DB. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Sanders pushing vertical, flipping the DB's hips, and then being violent with those hips to shoot him out of this route. So now, this clip here, this is from one of our subscribers, one of our followers. His name's Austin Busso. He plays out in Staten Island, New York. I believe he came out to our New Jersey camp. He's going to be coming out to our Nashville, Tennessee camp. And this is a great route. Sent this film in the other day, and I wanted to break this down because I think this is something a lot of young wide receivers can learn from, especially in a setting like this where it's one-on-ones competition, right? So let's play this full speed. So he decides to take a little jab release, inside release here, breaks on this post corner. So when we are trying to get this DB off on a double move, the three things that you have to understand on a double move, whether that is an out and up, whether that is a post corner, whether it is a corner post, a sluggo, whatever it is, it's about three things: eyes, body, and stride. That's all you got to worry about. So you see it all the time. You know, guys, they try to run. They'll be put in one-on-one situations. They always want to do the double moves. They always want to run the post corners, the corner posts. But it never actually works out that as well as they want it to because they screw up at the break point. So they'll break at the top of this thing and they'll snap their eyes around like so, but what they'll do is they'll take choppy strides. And that is a huge indicator to this DB that you're not running the actual route. What Austin does here in this clip is when he breaks off of that cut, he is pushing off of that cut. He's taking a full 3 strides and he's snapping his eyes around. That is the key, fellas. That's what's going to get this DB to think post because he's actually threatened by the post. Maybe you've ran a couple posts. Maybe you've got him a couple times on this thing. And that stride length, that speed, and those eyes are 2 out of the 3. Now, the last one is your body language. So many wide receivers will do this. They'll run, they'll snap the eyes, but their shoulders and their hips will be drifting upfield. They don't have that change of direction on that one foot like we were talking about on that diamond release. Fellas, if we could commit my hips and my shoulders to the 45-degree angle, I could run in full stride and I could snap my eyes. There's no choice. This DB has to think it's a post. There's no way unless he guesses, and he's a 50-50 guessing, which a DB should never do. So fellas, this is a perfect example of how you can expose that DB on a double move. Make sure you sell with eyes, make sure you sell with body, but also full stride. They're taught to look for a change in this and a change in this. They're not even supposed to be looking at your eyes. Your eyes are just icing on the cake. But Busso does a great job of this, breaking off the here. 1, 2, 3, putting the brakes on that 3rd step and being sudden. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job taking the inside release. Maybe could have restacked a little bit tighter, but that is how you sell a double move, fellas. Full stride, full speed, commit the upper body, and snap those eyes. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. And again, if you guys would like to come out, get some work in with us this offseason, fellas, we're coming out to Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Salt Lake City, Utah, and Los Angeles, California. So check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our camps. I'll see you guys next time.